Hey guys, welcome back to Gideon Stuff. So, you're about to watch a video on Nitro-V steel. And before we get into the talk about all of that, I wanted to put some usage footage in here. And I decided the best way to do that is to do some food prep. What are we making today? Well, a couple videos back, or I don't know, by the time you guys see this, several videos back, I talked about salsa and putting cactus fruit in there. So, we're gonna make a salsa today. I love salsa. I think a lot of people do. I grew up in New Mexico pretty much my whole life, and I remember as a little kid, the first time I went to a restaurant that didn't just have chips and salsa out on the table, I was like, what's going on here, right? And so growing up, my mom made salsa, all of our neighbors and stuff. It was kind of, Christmas time or special occasions, you give people, jar of homemade salsa or preserves or pickles or something like that. And this is not my mom's salsa recipe. This is mine. And it is salsa as made by a broke college kid with not a whole lot of equipment. So, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so here's our basic ingredients: tomatoes, lime, jalapenos, cactus fruit, of course. This is off a barrel cactus. Garlic. Let's go ahead and get into this. And let's just see, we're working with a good sharp edge right now. We will see what happens later. But here's our basic ingredients, and also salt and pepper. And you can put in cilantro if you want. I'm not going to today because I didn't have any cilantro, and because I love cilantro, but sometimes you can go a little heavy on the cilantro in your salsa. So here's what we've got. Let's get to it. First step, just score some tomatoes. That was more than a scoring. I have never done anything like this with a camera, so we'll see what we got here. Much more than a scoring. Then you're going to throw these into a frying pan. Sounds good. Next, go ahead and just throw in your jalapenos or whatever pepper, chili, whatever you're using. I have jalapenos because it's the easiest to find. And then just a little bit of garlic. Ooh, that looks good, doesn't it? It's all colorful. And then we're just going to wait for those to get nice and roasted. All right, so let's go ahead and prep our cactus fruit. I did this already in another video, so I'm not going to show like all of them, but find where that hard core is. Go ahead and cut the top off, and then go in half, quarters, and in half again. And we're going to take out all these little seeds, and maybe we'll save them. I've never really been a big fan of the seeds, but I've had people tell me that you can do some pretty cool stuff with them. So you know what? Save your seeds. Maybe we'll do something with them later. But scrape all that stuff out, and then we're going to dice these up pretty small. So I'll get back to you in a little bit. Okay, here we are, last one. Oh man, look at all these seeds. Normally I would throw these away, but that seems kind of wasteful, and I've had lots of people tell me that you can do all kinds of cool stuff with these, so you know what, I'm not sure what I will do. Maybe I will roast them up with some seasoning and stuff. I don't know. This is definitely the most time-intensive part of this, what we're doing here today. And I might be tempted to say this is optional, but for me, this is kind of the part that makes it my recipe, right? Push those seeds out like that. Clean off your hands. Get out of there. There's so much seeds everywhere. I'm just on top of myself with seeds. I'll rip out that hard little part there. Get out, get out, get out. Ooh, I almost dropped in the seeds. And there, that one's clean. Oh, there's even seeds over there. Oh, and I just threw another one in. So now we have our roasted vegetables, or fruits. And man, they smell good. It's time to blend them all together. The best way to do this would obviously be with a traditional molcajete, but I don't have one of those. So the next best way would probably be with a blender, but I don't have one of those. So what do I have? This little thing. Why do I have it? Not for drugs or anything. It's gonna take us a little while, but I think it'll be worth it to do it in this. It's gonna be a little bit weird, but we can do that. Let's get to it. Oh yeah. If I can grab it. Tomato skins come right off. Alrighty, next we mix them all together. I know what you're thinking. Gideon forgot about the cactus fruit. Nope, here it is all diced up. And we're going to put it in just a second. First of all, we close this lid. Whew, just barely. Get that all mixed together. That looks fantastic. So, next, just a second. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. All right, get our lime out. And right in there. That's probably enough. Now we're going to take some of this stuff. We're going to go in like that, and we're going to shake her up again. Take a look. That looks fantastic. Let's taste it. Oh my gosh, yes. That might be my best batch ever. Holy cow. The heat is... Maybe could go for a little spicier, but you know what? It's not bad. Like, the flavor's amazing. The spice, I could have gone a little spicier maybe, but... Oh man, yes. Oh hell yeah. Okay, so what we did right there using the Salsa conspirator for our cooking activity right there was not to test really edge retention or things like that, but stainlessness. We cut through some very acidic things such as the lime, and I'm going to let it sit for just a second and see what happens. And it's like, yeah, that might be a little bit, you know, of an extreme test, but isn't all testing extreme? And I mean, it's not even really that extreme of a corrosion resistance test, but yeah, we'll see what happens with that. So the blade is coated and then stone washed or something, so I don't think it will stain. What I'm looking for is rust at the edge, so we'll see what happens. It did get a little bit gummed up with food juice, but we'll see. Alrighty, so what did all that nonsense with the salsa teach us? What did we learn? Well, I learned that cooking videos are really freaking hard to make. I have a newfound appreciation for everyone who makes cooking videos for a living because I cannot do that. I wasn't even cooking, I was just making salsa. But, like, figuring out the right camera angles, saying everything I needed to say, recording everything I needed to record. Like, I didn't record myself dicing up the cactus fruit. It's a lot. It's a lot to do. And, yeah, so everyone who makes cooking videos, or food videos, whatever, good on you. So, I left some of the asses. I tried to say juices and acids at the same time. Or maybe I tried to say acidic juices at the same time. Anyways, no, I did not leave any asses on this. Gosh. See, if you were watching a professional, this is the part of the video where we would cut, recalibrate, and, you know, do a new take. But you're not watching professional, you're watching Gideon stuff, so deal with it. So I left the juices on the knife for a little bit, just kind of let it sit on my counter while I enjoyed more of that salsa. And then I went and did other stuff, came back, I don't know, probably in total it's like an hour and a half, hour 20, something like that. No rust on the edge, so that was good. There was a little bit of discoloration, but not too bad. So after that, I went and I sharpened it. We've got a nice new beautiful edge on this guy. What do I think? So sharpening this knife, I think this Nitro-V was harder than Nitro-V I've tried from Civivi in the past. It felt a lot harder on my stones, at least. And, you know, that's a good thing. There's a light on my truck. I need to go turn that off. Just a second. I was about to say the last thing I need is to get stranded out here with a dead battery, but honestly, I wouldn't mind it too much. Ooh, can you see those clouds moving over there? I really wish you could see everything on camera as good as I can see it in real life. Because it's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I saw some barrel cactus over there, so, you know, I can make myself a salsa to survive on. Okay, so, oh, geez. Whew, what is going on with this thing? Button locks. I do not like button locks. Okay, whatever. So, yeah, it felt a little bit harder than Civivi's Nitro-V that I've tried in the past. And so, you guys probably know, a lot of you have probably seen the videos I did with Nitro-V, but just to give you a recap, my first experience with Nitro-V was on the Civivi bow. I hate that knife, and that knife made me hate Nitro-V because the knife rusted so badly, so quickly, and I blame the Nitro-V. In hindsight, it was probably the bead blast on the blade, right? But after that, you know, I just, every time I had Nitro-V, I would keep it oiled up to, you know, prevent rust. So, the next knife I had with Nitro-V was the Civivi Imperium and the Baby Banter. I got them about the same time. And the Imperium I noticed as just not holding an edge at all. And with the bow, when I tried to sharpen it, it felt like Play-Doh. Like it was so soft. And so I really just stopped using it. The Imperium lost its edge really quick, and then I just kept stropping it and honing it on ceramic rods to, you know, for the review. With the Baby Banter, I carried it a lot more, and I noticed that it also went dull incredibly fast. So I sharpened it up, and I'll probably show the Baby Banter later. I'll probably, you know, there's gonna be more segments to this video. But I sharpened up the Baby Banter, used it some more, also went dull very quickly. Sharpened it a third time, and it held its edge. And I think I'm on the third or fourth edge with the Baby Banter now, and the edge retention is actually holding up pretty well. So maybe I had a burnt edge on that. I'm not sure. So this knife, the edge retention was actually very good. I got great edge retention out of it. When I sharpened it, it felt very hard. It sharpened really, really nicely. I have a not a coarse edge, but also not a mirror edge on here right now. I stopped at, what is this? This is a 600 grit edge, so pretty fine. But yeah, it sharpened great, and so I was really, really happy with that. The rust issue. I will say I've had the edge on my Baby Banter rust before from like pocket sweat. Not bad though, like it came off. So I don't think Nitro-V is as prone to rust as I once thought, but I don't think it's my favorite stainless steel either. I don't think it's like super stainless. In fact, I had someone comment and tell me on one of the videos told me the chemical composition of Nitro-V, and they said that it was prone to being a little bit less corrosion resistant than like 14C28N. So, experiences with, not this knife, but with the steel, I'm just coming around to Nitro-V. I don't think I like it more than 14C, and I know I don't like it more than Civivi's 14C. Civivi's 14C is magical. It's great stuff. But I think I'm kind of starting to bury the hatchet with Nitro-V. So I've got more to say, so we'll go talk about that. Alrighty, let's talk edge retention. And yes, I know this background's much more boring than the outdoor stuff, but bear with me. So, I've been testing this knife for a long time. Even after I did the review, I continued my testing. I did a lot of stuff with this, cut lots of rope, lots of cardboard, did a lot of food prep with this knife. Like I made dinner many times with this knife, not just the salsa we showed earlier. But that was mostly to test like the corrosion resistance. So how did I think it did on edge retention? Okay. It did okay. For a budget steel, I think it did well. But it didn't wow me. It didn't like shock me. It wasn't like, oh my goodness, this is the best performer ever. And so this is going to be a common theme through the video, but I would just rather have 14C. I feel like 14C, especially from Civivi, performs better. I just noticed that this knife would go dull. And the thing was too is, you know, a lot of knives, you're using it and it's going dull, but you know, you can still use it after a point, and you know, you're still using it. It's not a great edge, but it's a cuttable edge. With this knife, I noticed that it was like sharp, and it was sharp for a while, cut, and then one day it'd be like, oh, it's dull now. Go and sharpen it up. Again, the sharpenability of this knife feels good. The toughness, I think, is decent. Like I never chipped the edge or anything. So ta-da! All right, back to the video. Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Our discussion on Nitro-V steel. Stand up, buddy. So, I've carried Nitro-V a lot. The Civivi Baby Banter has been in my pocket a lot. This is one of my favorite secondary carry, backup knives, whatever you want to call it. I carry this knife a ton. And I do like it. I've talked before, like this knife is on its, this is the third or fourth edge. And it's now performing okay. But yeah, it did take a couple of sharpenings to get there. I do not know why Civivi would use Nitro-V over their 14C. I really don't. Every time Civivi uses 14C, they do a fantastic job with it. This is my Civivi riffle. I've had this knife for a long time. The last time I sharpened it, I just threw a quick edge on with this thing. You can see it's not the greatest edge. But dang it, it's held really well. Civivi's 14C is pretty stainless, although, again, like on this knife, it has a stupid bead blast. I had a little bit of some rust spots come on. So, I think I'm willing to forgive Nitro-V a little bit. I used to think it was a terrible stainless steel. I don't think it's as bad as I originally thought. I think that was just bead blasts. So everyone say it with me, no more bead blasts. But in terms of the other areas of performance, toughness, ease of sharpening, edge retention, Nitro-V has been a little hit or miss with me. I've talked about with the bow, sharpening it was awful. It would not take an edge. It felt like sharpening aluminum foil. It was terrible. This knife felt hard. It felt really good under the stones. They were biting and digging in and everything, and we got a really nice edge on here. This knife took several sharpenings before I saw the performance that I was wanting. And so right there, it seems like there's some inconsistencies in Civivi's Nitro-V. And again, Civivi's Nitro-V is really the only Nitro-V I've ever tried. But if there are those inconsistencies, I would just say rather not use the steel anymore, because they obviously do a great job with their 14C. 14C, I think everyone would agree, is one of the better budget knife steels. Pretty tough for stainless steel, easy to sharpen, takes a great edge, holds that edge a lot better than people say. Like, I've said this before, but if you look on like Blade HQ's knife steel charts, they have 14C pretty low in terms of edge retention. And in my experience, I would say that 14C often has a little bit better edge retention than things like 154 CM. So, you know, I guess that's just one of those things where numbers on a page versus performance in reality. But 14C is awesome stuff, and so I'd just rather Civivi use that. The other thing is, it seems Civivi charges a premium for their Nitro-V. The Civivi Terax that came out recently in Nitro-V, it's a steel frame lock, $105. Here's a knife I picked up recently, the Civivi Voltaic, and I've been using it to sharpen colored pencils. The Civivi Voltaic, 14C steel frame lock with these wood inlays, very similar to the overall build of the Terax, $75. Still a little bit pricey for a budget knife. But yeah, it's not over $100. If this was in Nitro-V, I'm pretty sure Civivi would charge over $100 for it. And so, for me, my thoughts on Nitro-V come down to this. I don't think it's as easy for companies to do right as 14C. It seems to be more expensive than 14C. And the performance doesn't seem to be noticeably better than 14C in any way. So overall, I would just rather see 14C. Now again, we're talking mainly Civivi here. Custom makers, I'm sure they heat treat their Nitro-V much better. I'm sure there's other companies that heat treat Nitro-V very, very well. But from what I've experienced, I just don't know why I would ever choose Nitro-V over 14C, right? Like if this knife was in 14C 28N and they were able to bring it down to $65 instead of, what do these go for, 75, 85? Yeah. I say they do it, because for me, Nitro-V is not worth extra money over 14C. So, have I buried the hatchet with Nitro-V? I don't know. I think I like it. When I used to see Nitro-V, I would like cringe and go, oh no, how horrible. If it's done okay, like this knife, I didn't mind the Nitro-V. It was okay. So I don't hate Nitro-V, but I'm not the biggest fan of it either. It to me, it just feels lackluster. And I'd much rather just stick with the 14C 28N, because it seems like companies can do it right, and it's just a great steel overall. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. I thought about making this a IEDC Nitro-V for 2 weeks, but this turned into... Basically, this video is the result of about a year of experimentation with Nitro-V. Just carrying it and using it on different knives, sharpening, using it again. One thing I will say is the Nitro-V seems to be pretty tough. I've used it, like for the baby banter, I used this in a couple of situations out in the field, testing minerals, like scratch stuff and see if it's harder or softer than steel. And yeah, I ended up scratching some things that were much harder than steel, and I didn't really chip the edge or anything at all. Rolled it a little bit, but that's what you'd expect from a good tough steel. So Nitro-V's toughness, I don't really have an issue with. I don't think the edge retention is all that great. This knife was okay, but in my opinion, it wasn't as good as the VV's 14C. Yeah, the sharpenability, again, varied throughout a lot of the Nitro-V that I tested. This one was okay. Still, 14C is just better to sharpen. And corrosion resistance, I mean, I've rusted that bow really bad. I had the discoloration at the edge here. I've rusted the edge on this knife. So I don't know. Again, though, like I have rusted 14C, but only when it was bead blasted, so that's more of a bead blast problem. Overall, I just think 14C is better. And I'm not doing like controlled tests. I guess I should have said this at the beginning. I haven't like taken these out and done controlled tests with factory edges and then putting on identical edges for me and, comparing them side by side edge retention wise with that. I've just been, I guess, user testing, using the knives throughout my life, throughout my day, throughout my life, sounds like I'm about to die, throughout my day, and, just kind of taking mental notes on what was better, what I noticed, what I liked, didn't like, things like that. So, yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. I already said that like 3 minutes ago, but I guess I'm long-winded. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. I've been Gideon. I'll see you in the next one. Adios.